Hello, fellow Dolby Atmos enthusiasts. I'm Gene Della Sala. I'm president of Audioholics, and today we have
Hugo Rivera, Vice President of Marketing. Gene, the day has come. Huge day today.
We've been talking about this for quite some time, Hugo. I said the last time I would talk about Dolby Atmos, I would be doing an actual demo and giving you demo results.
Precise demo results.
Yes, and that's what we have here today to deliver.
And we have no hats, notice that.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
So I don't know, is there going to be any hat eating session today or not?
Well, you know, I have to say that unless the hat is edible and it has protein in it, probably not. I think I'll just stick with regular food.
Yeah, I think so too. As a matter of fact, the lunch we had was just fine.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I just left the hat at home. Just no need for it today.
Well, Gene, let's before we get into anything, let's go ahead and cover the setup, and we'll guide people through our experience and show them exactly what is it that we heard.
Okay.
And we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so I guess let's go over the equipment. First of all,
yeah.
I have to again thank Denon because they provided most of our Atmos equipment for us for this demo and for the review. So right here we have the Denon AVR-X 5200W 9.1 or 9.2 channel Dolby Atmos receiver.
Right.
And we have the DefTech, Definitive Technologies, A60 Dolby Atmos add-on modules. Now for the rest of the channels, actually Denon wanted to send us an entire DefTech package. It was like a 400-pound package. I'm like, you know what, I just didn't want to deal with all the boxes.
Right.
So what I did was I picked equipment we have readily available to us that's commensurate with a receiver of this price class, and I combined the system. So we set this up as a 5.1.4 system, okay? We have, for the front channels, I use the SVS Ultra bookshelves that we recently reviewed.
Right.
For the surround channels, I use an RBH EB41 beryllium 4-inch two-way speaker. And for the center channel, it was a little bit of an overkill. I only had my Status 8C center channel. It's like it's like a $15,000 center channel. But you know, the SVS and RBH stuff is very tonally similar, and you know, you could hear it in the test tones, and you could hear it when I did the surround demos, and it worked out really well. And what I did was I placed these Atmos modules on top, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and then to fill out for the bass, I used a Velodyne Mini V subwoofer.
Okay.
Little sub, but pretty potent with an 8-inch driver. So all in all, it's, aside from my center channel, it's pretty representative of what someone buying a $2,000 receiver would use.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. Now, we did that. We had that equipment, and Blue Jeans Cable provided the cables for us. And we also had 2 different demo rooms, Hugo.
Right, yes.
Okay, so the first demo room we did was in the Audioholics Showcase room, which is an acoustically treated room. Okay.
Right.
The second demo room we did was the family room system for Audioholics, and that has 10-foot flat ceilings, untreated room, and it's open to a larger room. So that's very representative of what someone would have for a home theater.
I believe so. Absolutely.
Yeah, like the Audioholics Showcase room, it has flat ceilings, but the acoustic control gives you some different results, and I'd be happy to share that with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is treated. So, I mean, when we're talking about reflective technology, obviously we know that this is going to have an effect on it. And
it did, and you know, there's several reasons why I think it did. But why don't we just go over the demo results of the showcase room first, the acoustically treated room.
Let's start talking about what we used for the actual demo and everything.
Okay. Well, as you know, there's only like 1 disc right now available in Atmos, and it's for the Cybertronian speakers. It's Cybertron latest movie from Transformers.
Which we should be getting tomorrow, hopefully.
Yes, actually, the Dolby is sending us a sample, so I'm looking forward to hearing that. But anyways, we have the Dolby demo disc for Atmos. We have a Oro 3D disc that we have. Of course, we don't have the Oro upgrade yet, so we use it in just DTS HD and then applied the Dolby upsampler to it. And then I used an array of 2-channel music to do the Dolby upsampler, and I used regular True HD Blu-rays. So, you know, we tested multiple things to see how it would work. And the first thing I'd say is, you know, you want to calibrate. We used Odyssey. I found Odyssey greatly improved the sound of these little Atmos modules because, quite frankly, these Atmos modules were the weakest link in the system. You know, we had all of our speakers had reasonable tonal match until we got to the Atmos little reflected speakers, which only have a 3-inch paper driver. Then it sounded like you just took all the sound and shoved it into a little box. Right, very compressed, limited bandwidth, and it just, you know, it didn't jive with the rest of the system. So I was like, all right, so that's the pink noise, but let's hear how it's going to sound with music.
Right.
Well, we put on the Dolby demo disc, and the first thing I put on was the Amaze demo. And I have to tell you, I was freaking amazed. I mean, the sound of the Amaze demo, I love the sound of rain. Unfortunately, the demo's only a minute long.
Right.
But it starts out, you know, you hear the crickets, you hear the chirping, and then you hear the rainfall.
Pretty good.
Yeah, what did you think about... when you listened to it, what did you think about when you heard the Atmos speakers? Because we compared it on and off.
Well, I think for high frequency sounds, it fared okay, considering the fact, of course, this we have to take a look at this statement. Okay, it's okay if you're in the sweet spot.
Yeah, that's
all
true.
right.
That's
Because
true.
if you're not in the sweet spot, it's a different story. But if you're in the sweet spot, it sounded okay for high frequency sounds. Now, for the rest of the sounds, it sounded pretty localized to me.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point. And you were sitting right in the sweet spot, and I sat kind of in the second row, so I was like only a few feet away from the Atmos speakers. And for the rain, like with the crickets, it sounded like they were elevated. Not up at the ceiling, but it sounded elevated. But then when the rain was falling, it just sounded like the rain was around me. Like I could see all the rain's coming from that speaker.
Right.
Okay. I didn't hear any elevation effect at all from the front Atmos speakers. And I heard most of it from the back ones where I was, but I was drawn to that speaker.
Right.
And what I found, because I did a lot more demos than you, because you were only here for one day. What I found is if you sit too close to an Atmos module, it's too localized. If you sit too far away, that elevation effect is completely gone.
Gone, yeah.
Okay, completely gone, and it just winds up as being ambience into the sound. So with the Amaze demo, I turned off the Atmos, basically putting it into direct mode, puts it back into true HD, and man, it still sounded amazing. I mean, my surround speakers in the back, because they have such good dispersion characteristics, were giving me almost an elevated effect from such a great mix that I honestly didn't miss it a whole lot. Okay.
Right.
But I mean, it was nice. The Atmos modules did give you a decent effect. I'll give them that. So I wanted to see what it would do with music. So then we tried out Enrique Iglesias Bailando, and let me tell you, man, I played this track probably 100 times. My kids think I'm obsessed with Enrique Iglesias, and I like the guy, and I like the video, I like the song, but that thing I have nightmares about.
Well, you hear the kid with the Bailando thing, you know?
Yeah, and you know, I mean, here's the funny thing. Like, I heard the elevated effect when the kid said Bailando a little bit. I brought in my sister-in-law, and I did a double-blind test for her. I had the Atmos modules turned on and off. She had more of an elevated effect with them turned on than I did. Like, I heard a little... What did you think about that?
Well, the same thing, actually. I'm kind of like in the middle of the two of you, to be quite honest with you. And we kind of like predicted this, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we had talked about how people are going to be hearing this kind of...
variability.
You know, exactly.
And it all has to do with the human-related transfer function of our own ears. You know, your head is shaped different than mine. I have less hair up here, so maybe the sound's reflecting off my head and I'm not getting into my ears as well. Who knows? I can't predict that, and I don't think anybody can predict that. But the other thing I noticed, like in that Bailando song, is when we had that guy, I don't remember that guy, it's not Pitbull, it's like a Pitbull-like guy, and he's going, Bailando, you know, he's doing that. That broadband frequency range, which is not high frequency, it's more in the mid-range, it sounded exactly localized from the Atmos module.
Right.
I mean, I could tell exactly where that was coming from. Okay, so I was like, you know, to me, it kind of distorted the main image of the front channels and the surround channels when it was turned on.
Correct.
And even my sister-in-law, when I switched off the Atmos into True HD, she goes, it sounds much more focused now. Like I could hear all the details of the instruments better. It's not blurred. And she's not a technical person.
Right.
I didn't tell her I didn't precondition her on this, but she initially listened to it, liked the elevated effect, and then I turned it off. She's like, oh, wow, it's much clearer now. Right. So she thought Atmos was on when I turned it off at that point.
Right. Yeah, we may be getting some effects over here with the reflective technology, and we talked about all this stuff, Gene. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I know what they were trying to do, and, you know, congratulations for trying to innovate. I mean, that's what engineering is all about.
Right.
But when it comes to reflective technology and sound waves, I'm just not really sold by it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and you know, I wasn't sold by it either, so what I did was I said, okay, let's move this stuff downstairs. Let's go into a regular room, not acoustically treated, something that's more reverberant, and we set up the whole system again. And I hope you guys understand how much effort is involved in setting this stuff up. This is like, you know, several day event, just setting the stuff, breaking it down, putting it back. It's a lot.
I mean, and that's not even counting the fact that you had to figure out how to use the
menus in the receiver,
menus and the receiver and the whole thing. So that's another whole story, right?
But
there.
you know, I wanna know for myself, because I'm the type of guy that even if you give me the proof, like when I was in engineering school, I wanted to prove it myself. I don't just accept a formula without being able to prove it. So we put the system downstairs. Now this time I didn't calibrate it with Odyssey. I just ran it, did the level matching and everything else. And incidentally, we had some in-ceiling speakers to compare. So we wired up the in-ceiling and did back and forth comparisons. Now I have to tell you, when I replayed those tracks, I felt like these modules sounded a lot better downstairs than they did up here. The elevation effects seemed a little bit more open. It wasn't as closed in. Like I couldn't localize it as much. But then again, you're in a much more reverberant room.
Yeah.
So you're getting what's like a masking effect.
Right.
I believe. I think it's just a masking effect at that point.
I agree.
So, you know, we ran the Enrique Inglés thing, and, you know, it sounded better. But I was like, let's switch over to the in-ceiling speakers, recalibrate, and do another demo. So I want to know, what did you think when we switched to the in-ceiling speakers? Which were, by the way, they were RVH speakers for the in-ceiling.
I have to say, Gene, no match. It's no comparison. I mean, when you do that, when you have actual discrete speakers, the difference is just night and day.
Well, I mean, if you want to place a sound at a certain location, put a speaker in that location. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's not play billiards with sound waves.
Kind of like common sense.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah. And in my opinion, I think that's how Atmos is supposed to be used.
Yeah, I mean, in the movie theater, they're not bouncing sound, they're using discrete speakers.
You know, with no offense to all the engineering that went behind this and everything, but I just think it's not a mature technology. I don't think we have the capacity to make this reflect in a way that is going to work in all cases. Because that's another issue too. It's like, you have 10-foot ceilings. I have high voltage ceilings in my house.
Yeah.
It's going to sound entirely different
Oh,
for me.
yeah. Everybody's experience is going to be different, not only because of their ears, but because of their room acoustics. And quite frankly, when I heard it with just the Atmos modules, I'm like, you know what? I don't really need this. Most people are putting surround speakers on the walls anyway, a couple of feet above ear level, so you're getting a naturally elevated sound stage. So to ask people to put speakers at ear level on bookshelves in the rear of a room which usually has foot traffic, it's unrealistic to do that and then slap a module on. So if it was that kind of situation where you were going to have to take down your acoustic panels in your room and take your side-mounted and back-mounted speakers down to ear level to slap a module on, I say no way, man. I would never, if I was a pro installer, I would never make that recommendation to a customer.
Yeah.
Now, and I'll give you a caveat now. In Florida, most people, when they do home theaters, and most people hire installers, they go and shove 5 speakers up on a ceiling. It makes me cringe, because that's like the worst possible thing you can do for your speakers. So what I say is, if you have that kind of situation where you have in-ceiling speakers in the front and back, I tell you, repurpose those for the Atmos height channels and get yourself some box speakers in the front channels at ear level, as close as you can, and then get some side-mounted and back-mounted speakers. And then now you can run a 7.1 or a 5.1.4 Atmos system. Now it makes a lot of sense, because now you're getting the discrete effect. Right. You're getting what Dolby Atmos is really meant to do. You're expanding your soundstage, and you're improving the sound of your main channels, because they're not up at the ceiling anymore. They're at ear level, giving you the direct sound, which is what you want from the front 3 speakers. Okay? Now, I also think, I don't think Atmos would work with very low ceilings, because most people, if they put their side speakers a few feet above ear level, you can't just go throw a ceiling speaker a couple of feet, 2 feet above that. No. Right? I really believe Atmos would work best in rooms that have at least 10-foot ceilings. Not a 7 or an 8-foot ceiling when you have an elevated speaker already. I just think it's ridiculous. You're just throwing sound everywhere. You have no separation at all anymore when you do that.
Yeah, so in a small apartment studio, I think Atmos is out of the question then.
Well, but you know they're going to be putting it in sound bars, laptops, and iPhones.
Yeah, well.
But that's another topic.
Yeah, as long as the fad lasts, you know,
yeah.
It's okay.
And it is definitely a fad. You know, 3D video failed, so let's do 3D audio. And I'll tell you, I mean, I was really impressed with the discrete speakers, and I would buy into the technology if I could put the ceiling speakers, but not if we're just dealing with these modules.
Yeah, agreed. And this is kind of like what we predicted in video 1 when we first started talking about Atmos, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, don't shoot the messenger. I mean, it's, we base it on known physics, proven physics of how sound waves work, and you and I are both very serious about sound. I don't like muddying things. It's like the DSP modes in receivers. Yeah, you can throw DSP, make it sound like a German bathtub, or you know, the halls of a church. Yeah, that sounds nice for like 5 minutes, but that's going to grow very tiresome very quickly.
Right.
There's nothing like direct, good, high quality sound, and you get that with a good 5 or 7 channel speaker system. Then you just throw on a little flavor if you want with the ceiling speakers to get the extra height, if you have the ability in your room to do it.
Yeah, it's all about the quality, not the quantity.
Right.
You know?
Sound without bounds.
Yeah, exactly. In bodybuilding, we say mass with class,
yes.
or mass without class.
You have to have sound with bounds in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, Gene, I think this has been super informative, so thank you so much for that. Is there anything else you would like to add on the subject?
I think we're set, other than the fact that just keep looking for new demo material. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing more stuff from Oro. I'm looking forward to seeing more stuff from Atmos, and get those in-ceiling speakers ready if you're really serious about doing Atmos. Otherwise, wait this one out.
Yeah, absolutely. You heard it from us first. So, at any rate, if you like this video, please click like on the button below, and also feel free to share it with your friends. In all social medias, you know, don't be shy about sharing. Don't hoard the material just for yourself. We're all about sharing.
Spread the wealth, spread the knowledge, and spread the hype.
Yes. And visit audioholics.com as well. And you can sign up to our free weekly newsletter, which we send out at least once a week. And you also get our top AV gear guide, which we should be updating also for the new 2015 products coming up.
Very soon, so don't miss it.
Absolutely. With that said, until next time, keep listening.